the news that froze hip-hop. The music world woke up to a headline nobody was ready to believe. Reports claimed Tay Keith, one of the most recognizable producers behind modern rap's hardest hitting sound, was gone at just 29 years old. For a few moments, the internet didn't know how to react. Fans refreshed their feeds, artists went silent, and people who had grown up hearing his tag before some of the biggest records in the game were left asking the same question. How could someone this young, this talented, and this important to the culture suddenly become the center of a tragedy? According to early reports spreading online, Tay Keith was found at his apartment in Nashville, and authorities had not publicly confirmed anything suspicious at the scene. That detail only made the silence heavier, because instead of answers, there were only questions. No clear explanation, no final statement, just shock, confusion, and a wave of grief moving through hip-hop faster than anyone could process. What made the moment hit even harder was who Tay Keith was to the culture. He wasn't just another producer with a few placements. He helped shape an entire era. From Memphis energy to national chart dominance, his sound became the backdrop for songs that filled clubs, cars, arenas, and playlists across America. His beats carried urgency. His drums felt like warning shots. His production made artists sound larger than life. As the news spread, rappers, producers, DJs, and fans began reacting publicly. Some posted broken heart emojis. Others shared old studio memories. Some said they couldn't even find the words. And that's when it became clear. This wasn't just about losing a hitmaker. This was about losing someone who had become part of hip-hop's heartbeat. Before we go deeper, comment where you're watching from. If you believe Tay Keith's sound changed rap forever, type 1 in the comments. If you're still waiting for more confirmed details, type 2. And subscribe, because this story is bigger than one headline. From Memphis dreams to global sound. Before the industry knew his name, Tay Keith was just a young creator from Memphis with a laptop, ambition, and a sound that felt impossible to ignore. He came from a city where rap wasn't just music. It was identity, survival, pride, pain, and pressure all mixed into one. Memphis had already given hip-hop a raw foundation, but Tay Keith helped bring that foundation into a new generation. What separated him early wasn't just his drums or melodies. It was his instinct. He understood how to build tension inside a beat. He knew when to leave space for an artist to attack and when to make the production feel like it was chasing the rapper down. That balance became his signature. His beats sounded aggressive, but clean, street-rooted, but radio-ready, dark, but addictive. As his name started spreading, artists realized Tay Keith wasn't just making instrumentals. He was creating moments. A Tay Keith beat could turn a verse into a statement. It could make a hook feel dangerous. It could give a rapper the kind of energy that made fans run a track back before it was even finished. That's why his rise felt so fast once the world caught on. But behind the success was a grind most fans never saw. Long sessions, endless revisions, late nights, industry pressure, the quiet stress of being expected to keep creating hits while everyone around you only sees the win. And that's what made the reported news so painful for so many people. Fans were not just mourning the name attached to famous records. They were mourning the work, the history, and the person behind the sound. In Memphis, his impact felt personal. To many young producers, Tay Keith represented proof that you could come from the city, build your own lane, and still reach the top of the industry. His success gave people permission to dream bigger. The first reactions hit like a wave. Once the reports started moving across social media, the reactions came fast. At first, people didn't know whether to believe it. Some fans called it fake. Others demanded confirmation. But as more pages began posting tributes and more artists started reacting, the mood shifted from disbelief to grief. The hardest part was watching people who had actually worked with him try to process it in real time. Producers who understood his influence posted messages about how much he meant to the craft. Rappers who had recorded over his beats shared memories from studio sessions, late-night calls, and career-changing moments. Even artists who never had a public relationship with him seemed shaken, because Tay Keith's work had touched nearly every corner of modern rap. The comment sections became a memorial wall. Fans quoted his producer tag. They named their favorite records. They talked about where they were when they first heard one of his biggest beats. For younger listeners, his sound was connected to high school memories, summer drives, parties, and viral moments. For artists, his sound was connected to opportunity. A Tay Keith beat could open doors. But mixed into the sadness was confusion. People wanted answers. They wanted timelines. They wanted to know what happened before the reports surfaced. And because early information was limited, rumors started trying to fill the empty space. That's when the situation became even more sensitive. Some fans reminded others not to spread claims without confirmation. Others said the culture needed to stop turning every tragedy into speculation. That tension became part of the story. On one side, grief. On the other, the internet's hunger for details. And in the middle was Tay Keith's legacy, suddenly being discussed not as a career still unfolding, but as a body of work people were trying to protect. The sound that changed the room. Tay Keith's production had a rare quality. You could feel it before the artist even started rapping. His beats didn't politely enter a room, they kicked the door open. The drums were sharp, the bass was heavy, and the rhythm often carried a sense of danger that made listeners sit up immediately. That's why rappers trusted him. In a genre where energy matters as much as lyrics, Tay Keith gave artists a battlefield. His production made verses feel urgent. It gave hooks weight. It made simple lines sound unforgettable because the beat underneath them demanded attention. He understood the psychology of a hit record. Not just what sounds good, but what makes people react. His influence also stretched beyond one city. Even though Memphis was in his DNA, his sound traveled everywhere. Atlanta artists could use it. Chicago artists could use it. New York artists could use it. West Coast artists could use it. His production had enough grit for street records and enough polish for mainstream success. That is not easy to do. A lot of producers get known for one sound and then get trapped inside it. Tay Keith found a way to keep his identity while still adapting. That's one reason his name carried weight. When fans heard his tag, they expected something explosive. When rappers got one of his beats, they knew they had to deliver. So when the reported news hit, it didn't just feel like a personal loss. It felt like a sound had been interrupted, like a whole chapter of rap production had suddenly been cut short. People began asking what songs were still unreleased, what collaborations might never happen, and what direction his career could have taken next. The tragedy, for many fans, was not only what was lost, it was what the world might never get to hear. Friends, artists, and a culture in shock. As more artists reacted, one thing became obvious. Tay Keith's impact was deeper than charts. The public knew the records, but the people around him knew the person. And when those messages started appearing, the story became more emotional. Some spoke about his work ethic. Others described his calm presence in the studio. A few mentioned how he helped bring energy into sessions when everyone else was tired. In hip-hop, producers can sometimes be hidden behind the artist, but Tay Keith was different. His identity was part of the song. His name mattered. His tag mattered. His presence mattered. Fans also noticed how many different people seemed connected to him. That showed the size of his network, but also the respect he had earned. He wasn't only respected because he made hits. He was respected because he helped define a moment in rap where producers became stars in their own right. Still, the sadness came with caution. Many people online urged others to wait for official updates before spreading theories. That response showed how tired fans have become of seeing tragedy turned into entertainment. Hip-hop has lost too many young talents, and every time it happens, the same cycle begins. Shock, rumors, tribute posts, arguments, and then eventually silence. But this time, many fans wanted the conversation to be different. They wanted to focus on legacy. They wanted to talk about the music, the doors he opened, and the way his sound gave Memphis another powerful voice in mainstream rap. They wanted to honor the person without turning uncertainty into a spectacle. That became one of the strongest emotional points of the story. The culture was grieving, but it was also learning how to grieve more carefully. Why his death reports hit so hard. The reason this story shook people so deeply is because Tay Keith represented unfinished greatness. At 29, most producers are still building toward their peak. He had already reached heights many creators only dream about, but it still felt like he had more chapters ahead. That's what made the age so hard to accept. Fans looked at his accomplishments and realized how much he had done in such a short time. Then they looked at his potential and realized how much more could have happened. More albums, more collaborations, more young artists discovered, more sounds created, more history made. In hip-hop, producers are often the architects behind movements. They build the atmosphere, they shape the emotional temperature. Sometimes they create the exact sound that makes an artist's career explode. Tay Keith understood that role and embraced it. He wasn't trying to disappear behind the music, he became part of the moment. The reported passing also reminded fans how fragile success can be. From the outside, a producer with fame, placements, money, and recognition can look untouchable. But behind every public win is a private life nobody fully sees. The pressure to stay relevant, keep delivering, manage relationships, and carry expectations can be heavy. That doesn't mean anyone should guess what happened. It means the story opened a bigger conversation about how people in music are often celebrated when they produce, but not always protected when they struggle. The industry loves output, it loves hits, it loves momentum, but human beings are more than what they create. And maybe that's why the grief felt so personal. Tay Keith gave people soundtracks to their lives. Now those same people were trying to give something back: respect, restraint, and remembrance. Memphis feels the loss differently. For Memphis, this story carried a different weight. Tay Keith wasn't just a successful producer from the city. He was proof that Memphis talent could shape the national conversation without losing its edge. His rise gave the city another reason to stand tall in hip-hop history. Memphis rap has always had a unique darkness, rhythm, and intensity. It influenced countless sounds across the South and beyond. Tay Keith took that spirit and pushed it into a new era. He didn't water it down. He sharpened it. He made it feel modern, while still carrying the pressure of where it came from. That is why local fans and artists felt the report so heavily. When someone from your city reaches that level, their wins become shared wins. Every major placement feels like a reminder that the city is still producing greatness. Every award, every chart position, every viral record becomes part of the hometown story. Young producers especially saw him as a blueprint. He showed that you didn't need to wait for permission from the industry. You could build your sound, connect with artists, push your records, and force the world to listen. That message matters in cities where opportunity can feel limited. So when people in Memphis reacted, it wasn't just celebrity grief, it was community grief. It was the feeling of losing someone who carried the city's energy into rooms most people never get to enter. It was pride mixed with sadness. Even people who never met him personally felt like they knew what he stood for: ambition, sound, identity, and proof that Memphis could never be counted out. The rumors, the silence, and the need for truth. Whenever shocking news breaks in hip-hop, the internet moves faster than facts. That happened here too. Before official details were fully clear, people started building theories, connecting unrelated posts, and trying to turn fragments into a full story. But the truth is, early reports only gave limited information, and anything beyond confirmed updates needed to be handled carefully. That silence created tension. Fans wanted closure, but families and close friends deserved privacy. Media pages wanted engagement, but the culture needed responsibility. Artists wanted to mourn, but every public message became part of a larger conversation. This is where stories like this become dangerous. A tragedy can easily be twisted into drama. A lack of information can become fuel for false claims. And once rumors spread, they can hurt real people who are already dealing with grief. That is why many fans pushed back and reminded others to wait. The most respectful approach is to separate what is reported from what is proven. Reports claimed Tay Keith had passed. Early updates suggested there was no public confirmation of suspicious circumstances. Beyond that, people needed to be cautious. Grief should not become a guessing game. Still, the silence was painful. People wanted someone to explain how a young producer with so much influence could suddenly be gone. They wanted a reason that made sense. But sometimes, the first stage of loss does not come with answers. It comes with confusion. And in that confusion, the best thing the culture could do was remember the music, respect the family, and stop turning uncertainty into entertainment. The legacy that refuses to fade. By the time the reaction settled into tributes, one thing became clear. Tay Keith's legacy was already bigger than one moment. His sound had become part of rap's modern language. Artists studied it, producers borrowed from it, fans recognized it instantly. That kind of impact does not disappear. Legacy in hip-hop is not only about how many hits someone has, it is about whether they change the way people hear music. Tay Keith did that. He made drums feel more aggressive. He made minimal beats feel massive. He helped turn raw energy into mainstream power. He proved that a producer could carry a recognizable identity and still work across different artists, cities, and styles. For fans, his records will now hit differently. A beat that once sounded like pure confidence may now carry sadness. A producer tag that once made people get hyped may now make them pause. That is the strange power of music after loss. The same songs stay the same, but the way people hear them changes forever. And for young producers, his story remains a lesson. Build your sound, trust your instincts, represent where you come from. Do not wait for the industry to understand you before you start creating. Tay Keith's journey showed that originality can travel further than imitation. As the hip-hop world continues to wait for more clarity, the safest truth is this: Tay Keith's influence is already written into the culture. The headlines may fade, The posts may slow down, but the records, the sound, and the inspiration he gave to a generation of creators will keep moving long after the moment of shock is gone. What hip-hop should learn from this moment. The saddest part about a moment like this is that it forces the culture to look at someone's value after the world has already started speaking about them in the past tense. Tay Keith's name was never just attached to beats. It was attached to a movement, a city, a sound, and an entire generation of artists who understood that production could be just as powerful as the voice on the track. Whether fans discovered him through a viral hit, a street anthem, a club record, or a song that made the whole internet move at once, his impact was already stamped into hip-hop history long before these reports shook the timeline. But this story is bigger than grief. It is also a lesson about how quickly the music industry celebrates momentum and how slowly it sometimes protects the people creating that momentum. In rap, especially, success can look loud from the outside. The chains, the plaques, the studio photos, the luxury cars, the famous names, the chart numbers, all of it can make fans believe someone is untouchable. But behind every producer tag, every hit record, and every public win is a human being carrying pressure that most people never see. The pressure to keep creating, the pressure to stay relevant, the pressure to satisfy artists, labels, fans, managers, and expectations that never stop moving. That is why Tay Keith's reported passing hit so hard. Not just because he was young, not just because he was talented, but because he still felt unfinished. His story still had more chapters, more sounds, more artists to develop, more Memphis energy to bring into the mainstream, more rooms to enter, more doors to open for the next young producer sitting in a bedroom with nothing but a laptop, headphones, and a dream that feels too big for their environment. Strategically, Tay Keith's career teaches one major lesson: identity matters. He did not win by sounding like everybody else. He won by making the world come toward his sound. That is the difference between chasing trends and building a lane. A trend gives you a moment. A lane gives you a legacy. Tay Keith's beats carried his fingerprints. You could hear the tension, the space, the bounce, the aggression, the Memphis foundation, and the modern polish. That kind of sound does not happen by accident. It happens when a creator understands who they are and refuses to erase that identity just to fit in. For rappers, the lesson is clear too. The right producer can change your entire career. A beat is not just background music. It is the emotional engine of the record. It tells the listener how to feel before the first bar even lands. Tay Keith understood that. He gave artists a world to step into. And once they stepped in, the record felt bigger, sharper, and more urgent. That is why so many fans are remembering not just the songs, but the feeling those songs created. For producers, his journey is a reminder to take the craft seriously. Study your drums, study silence, study movement, study what makes a beat unforgettable. But also protect your peace, build relationships that are real, not just useful. Celebrate wins, but do not let the industry turn you into a machine. No placement, no plaque, no viral moment is worth losing yourself inside the pressure. For fans, this moment should remind us to slow down before turning every tragedy into content. It is okay to ask questions. It is okay to want the truth, but it is not okay to spread rumors as facts or treat someone's final headline like entertainment. Families deserve privacy. Friends deserve space. Artists deserve humanity. And legacies deserve to be handled with care. If there is one peaceful message to take from this chapter, it is this: give people their flowers while they can still hear them. Support the producers behind your favorite songs. Respect the people who build the soundtracks to your life. Check on the strong friends, the quiet creators, and the people who always seem focused on work. Sometimes the people making the loudest music are carrying silent weight. As the culture continues waiting for confirmed answers, one thing does not need confirmation. Tay Keith changed the sound of rap. His influence reached beyond Memphis, beyond charts, beyond viral moments, and beyond the artists he worked with. His sound became part of the language. And once a sound becomes part of the language, it never truly disappears. So rest in respect to the legacy, the work, and the impact. Let the music speak. Let the truth come from the right places. And let this moment remind hip-hop to move with more compassion, more patience, and more love. If Tay Keith's sound ever gave you chills, type 1 in the comments. If you believe producers deserve more respect in hip-hop, type 2. Tell us where you're watching from, subscribe to the channel, like this video, and share it with someone who understands how powerful one sound can be.